Welcome back. This is Mr. Hassan's Maths channel. I'm now answering question number 11 from the October-November 2023 Pure Mathematics, Paper 4, Variant 2 from the 0580 Cambridge IGCSE syllabus. And here we have three functions: f of x, which is a linear function, 1 minus 3x, g of x, which is a quadratic function, x minus 1 all squared, and h of x, which is a reciprocal function, 3 over x, and for that, of course, x can't be 0, otherwise it will be undefined. So part A says find g3. So whenever it says find g of something like this, it means whatever is in place of, whatever's inside the bracket takes the place of the x in the function. So g3 means replace the x in the function with 3. So this means basically take this function and replace the x with 3. So it's going to be 3 minus 1 squared, which is 2 squared, which is 4. Simple as that. And fx minus 2 is no different. You do exactly the same thing, but in function f, whatever's in the bracket takes the place of the x. So fx minus 2 means replace this x with whatever's in the bracket. So the x is replaced this time with x minus 2. Right, if it said f3, for example, we would replace the x with 3. It says fx minus 2, replace the x with x minus 2. Okay, if it said f3, we would replace the x with a tree. Okay, if it said box, replace the x with a box. Here it says fx minus 2, replace the x with x minus 2 in the function f. So then we're going to simplify, because it says give your answer in the simplest form, which you should do anyway. So you have 1. Now be careful, this minus 3 times x, which is minus 3x. And don't forget, it's minus 3 times a minus 2, which is plus 6. So you're left with 1 plus 7, which is 1 plus 6, which is 7, minus 3x. And there's the answer for part B. Then it says, part C, it says find the inverse of the function f. Okay, so we know that the function f of x, the original function, is 1 minus 3x. They're asking us here to find the inverse. To find the inverse, the first step you do, you say let y be the same as f of x. So I'm going to call this y equals 1 minus 3x. The second step, we switch the x and y. Switch x and y. Doesn't mean rearrange them. Just wherever it says y, call it x. Wherever it says x, call it y. And the third step is to make y the subject. Y the subject. So we're going to make y the subject. So we have to, the best thing to do here is I like to keep the term which we're going to make the subject, I like to keep it positive. You don't have to, but it makes things neater for you and better for you. So I'm going to add 3y to both sides, so the y term becomes positive. Therefore, I'll have to subtract x from both sides. I'll have 1 minus x. And then I'm going to divide by 3, so I'll have 1 minus x over 3. So this is the form of the inverse, which I then write as inverse of f is 1 minus x over 3. Now, somebody might have done something different. They might have said, okay, at this stage here, they might have said, okay, let's make y the subject. They might have taken away 1 from both sides, and then have x minus 1 equals negative 3y, and then divided by negative 3. And they would have y equals, it's like the same thing as this, but opposite sign. So it's perfectly fine. It's like saying 2/3 or minus 2/3. That's the same as 2 over minus 3. They give you the same value, which is minus 2/3. Okay, so these two are the same, but it looks neater to write it like this. That's all. I prefer to write it like that. All right, now for part D, it says, let me just move this down here so it's out of the way. Okay, so the part D says g f of x minus gx f of x equals 3x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, so you got to determine what's the difference between g f of x and gx fx. Now, the difference between these two is this means take the function g and put instead of x in function g f of x. Substitute f of x inside function g. Okay, just like we put a number in front instead of the x. In this case, we're going to put the function f of x instead of x. Okay, and this means take g of x and multiply it by f of x. They mean two different things. So this is basically taking the function g. Okay, this is taking the function g, which is x minus 1 squared, and replacing the x with g of x. So you have g of x, okay, minus 1 squared. So you're replacing the x with g of x, and we know that g of x is equal to, okay, replacing the x with f of x. Sorry, replacing the x with f of x. Replacing the x in function g with f of x. And we know f of x is 1 minus 3x. So this is going to be 1 minus 3x minus 1. Okay, 1 minus, that's function f of x minus 1 squared, which is going to give us 1 minus 1 is 0. That's minus 3x all squared, which is 9x squared. So that's what g f of x is. And then we're going to have g of x times f of x, which is when I multiply these together. So I have 1 minus 3, let me write it properly. I have 1 minus 3x times x minus 1 squared. Okay, so that's g of x times f of x. And we got to show that when I subtract these two, I get this expression over here. So let's just expand this first. You're going to have 1 minus 3x times, now this is going to be x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, when you expand x minus 1 all squared, you get x squared minus 2x plus 1. And now we can we can expand further. So we have 1 times x squared, which is x squared, 1 times minus 2x, 1 times 1, which is plus 1, minus 3 times x, which is minus 3 times x squared, which is minus 3x cubed. And you've got minus 3x times minus 2x, which is plus 6x, and minus 3x times plus 1, which is minus 3x. So in the end, we're going to get negative 3x cubed plus x squared, okay, plus x squared. That's going to be, by the way, that's minus 6x squared. Minus 3x times minus 2x is plus 6x squared. Be careful. So you got 3x cubed, minus 3x cubed, x squared plus 6x squared is 7x squared. And then you're going to have minus 2x minus 2x, which is minus 5x, and plus 1. Okay, so that's what this becomes. So we want to do g f of x minus gx times f of x. Okay, so g f of x, as we said, was 9x squared. So we have 9x squared minus all of this. So you have minus 3x cubed plus 7x squared minus 5x plus 1. So this minus sign is going to cause everything to change its sign. That's going to be positive 3x cubed. Okay, and we're going to have minus times plus is minus 7x squared. We're going to have plus 8x, sorry, plus 5x, sorry, can't read my own writing. That's a 5 here. Okay, so plus 5x and minus 1. So we'll just rearrange this to be 3x cubed plus 2x squared, 9x squared and 2x squared, plus 5x plus 1, or minus 1, sorry, minus 1. Okay, and that's minus 1. So we have here a is the coefficient, so 3x cubed, that's correct, plus ax squared, so that's going to be 2x squared, so a is going to be 2. And then going to have plus 5x, that's going to be 5. And we're going to have plus c, which is going to be minus 1. Okay, so those are the values of a, b, and c when we have carried out this instruction of finding the composite function g f of x and subtracting from that the product of the function g with f. Okay, and we get to answer as described. Now, the next page, it says find h of x minus f of x, giving you answer as a single fraction in its simplest form. So we got h of x, which is 3 over x, minus f of x, which is 1 minus 3x. Be careful about the signs. You have to protect it with this bracket. So we end up with 3 over x minus 1 plus 3x. Okay, so we want to have one single fraction. So I'm going to make the denominators all the same. And we can see that the common denominator, these are all going to be 1s, is going to be x. So that's going to become x, that's going to become x, that's going to become x. Okay, that's the highest common the lowest common factor, highest common factor, sorry, of the denominators. So 3 over x will be 3 over x. Minus 1 over 1 is going to become minus x over x. And 3x over 1 is going to become 3x squared over x. Okay, we have now got the same denominator. So this is going to be 3x squared minus x plus 3 over x. That is your answer as one fraction in its simplest form. I don't think we could factorize that. We don't have to factorize it because nothing will cancel out anyway. So that's fine. We got the answer as a single fraction in its simplest form. All right, for f, hx, let's bring this down here. This is the last part of the question. It says h of x to the power of n equals 3x to the power of 7. So what do? We take function h and we replace the x with x to the power of n. So 3 over x to the power of n equals 3x to the power of 7. So this, if you rewrite this in this form, okay, you can say 3x to the power of minus n equals 3x to the power of 7. Okay, writing that in index form on the top. So if you compare these, we can say minus n must be the same as 7. So n must be minus 7. And there's the answer. Simple as that. Just replace the x in function h with x to the power of n. That becomes x to the power of n. Laws of indices, you write that on top with the negative power. Compare them, the 3's are the same. The only thing that we can say is that the minus n must be the same as the 7. And we have answered this question. And that is basically the end of this topic. Okay. Other questions from this particular. Okay, so that completes this question. I think that's it. Yeah, the next question is question 12. There's nothing else here. That's right. So other questions from this particular paper can be found in the playlist that will appear over here. Other questions from the topic of functions in IGCSE will be found in the playlist over here. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking on this link, and you can watch the video linked over here, which will show you how to use my channel to find what you're looking for. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.